If you develop and build your abs in this way, then you will be able to see your abs at a higher body fat percentage. Hey guys, and welcome to today's video on ab training. Now, this is always going to be a controversial topic and somebody always has something clever, some smart ass comment to make, so I'm going to let you get that out of your system now. Before I start, go into the comments, complain that I'm an idiot, tell me you don't need to train abs, tell me I'm wrong, tell me everything I said is a lie, whatever else you need to get out of your system. Done? Yeah? Okay, good. Now you're ready to actually listen. Let's get into the video. But first, take 2 seconds to subscribe to my channel, AshmayPT, and also give this video a thumbs up whilst you're at it. So before we talk about what kind of training you should do for your abs, there's a bigger question to answer. Should you even bother training your abs? And the answer to that is yes, obviously. There is a huge amount of benefit to training your abs, which will carry over to a lot of other goals within the gym as well. And also, when I say training your abs or training your core, it doesn't just mean your six pack, the rectus abdominis. It means all the muscles that make up your core, and you need to train and build all of them to have that strong, stable base to your core. A lot of the time when you're training core, that means training functions of the core rather than muscles, movements over muscles. So some of the benefits and reasons to train your abs are going to be, to begin with, injury prevention. The stronger your core is, the more stable and resilient your body is going to be. Lower back injuries, poor posture, various types of chronic pain, a lot of these issues all come from a weak core. So strengthen it. Another reason is your strength in the gym. Sure, you might have some monster quads and some big ass glutes, but if your core just folds over whenever you pick up 135 pounds, you ain't lifting much weight. Same goes for deadlifts, rows, all kinds of compound movements. You're only ever as strong as your weakest link, so don't let your core be your weak link. And of course, we can't talk about training the core without at least mentioning aesthetics. Now, of course, you don't have to train your core to have a visible six-pack. If you are lean enough, then you will be able to see your six-pack regardless of whether you train it or not. But for most people, that's not the case. Most people aren't lean enough and they struggle to be lean enough to see their six-pack. And this is where training your core comes in. When you train your six-pack, you build those muscles up, you make them more blocky, just like you would with any other muscle. When those muscles are bigger and blockier, that means their definition, their tone, will show through fat more easily. It's not going to be night and day difference. You're not going to have a six-pack at 30% body fat. However, if before training your abs, you needed to be 8% body fat to have a really good six-pack, you might be able to get a really good six-pack at 10% body fat now. And if you've ever been that lean, those 2%, they make a difference. So on to the main topic of this video, body weight versus weighted ab training. This is what I'm passionate about. So body weight ab training is very good for beginners. It's a good starting point because there are some body weight movements which are incredibly easy for most people. The technique for body weight ab movements also tend to be a lot more simple, and a lot more people are able to do them with control, although 90% of people in the gym still massively screw them up, but let's say you're doing it right. Bodyweight ab training is also typically good enough for a lot of the benefits that we spoke about before in terms of building a base of core stability and improving your posture. Bodyweight it's good enough. However, like I said, it's good enough, but it's not as good as weighted training. Bodyweight ab movements very quickly become way too easy. Endlessly high reps of crunches and bicycle crunches and laying leg raises and all that kind of stuff, they're only going to build your abs to a certain degree. However, with weighted ab movements, you can make them pretty much endlessly harder, and you can make it so that a certain rep range is always going to be a struggle for you, and that's where the massive benefit of weighted ab training is. As I mentioned earlier, weighted ab training is also going to build the blockiness of your abs, which is just going to make them more visible at a higher body fat percentage, which is something that most people are looking for to get from their ab training. So why would you not go for the one which does that? It's going to give the cuts between your six pack a more pronounced look, and you're going to be able to see it more often. With weighted ab movements, you can pretty much infinitely progress. Just like a bench press or a squat or a deadlift, you wouldn't choose a weight on the bar and then just do it forever until you could do 100 or 50 reps of it or whatever it may be. You would add weight so that you're consistently doing, let's say, 8 to 12 reps, and it's always a challenge. With weighted ab movements, you can do the same thing. You don't end up doing weighted ab movements for 100 reps at a time. You keep it in that 8 to 12, 15 to 20 rep range by progressively adding weight, progressively overloading the reps to make it a challenge and build up those abs. Those reps that you add on when you're already doing 50, 60, 70, not only are they repetitive, endless, boring, but they're also easy and they're just useless. They're not doing anything for you at that point. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, but it's true. There's also a lot more variety of weighted ab movements and a lot more challenge, which just makes it more fun. In terms of bodyweight ab movements, there aren't actually a huge amount of actually effective exercises that you can do, whereas the majority of the weighted ab movements I've seen are hugely beneficial because day-to-day life is weighted ab movements. Picking up shopping bags, picking up a bag of dog food, it's all weighted core stability. Weighted ab movements build core stability under load. That's going to carry over to not only your gym lifts, but just day-to-day life. Most of the time when people injure themselves, they hurt their back or something like that, it's not when they're in the gym, it's when they're reaching back to pick up something heavy or they're reaching over to grab something from a shelf. Because they're not stable, they haven't developed their core under load like weighted ab movements do. If you build your core throughout all of its functions, under stress, under load, in different planes of movement, then it's going to be bulletproof and you're not going to injure yourself day to day like a lot of people do. And lastly, your hip flexors are a lot less likely to take over in weighted ab movements than they are in bodyweight ab movements. Most people, and I really mean most, emphasis on most people, don't actually use their abs when they're doing ab training. All they're doing is throwing their body around, their legs up or their torso up by using their hip flexors. Your abs don't bend you at the hip, they bend you at the waist where they actually are on your body. So yeah, these people that are doing leg raises, just throwing their legs around with their hip flexors, they're getting a great hip flexor training session, but they ain't getting much for their abs. Whereas if you're doing weighted ab movements, under control, flexing at the waist, you are going to get so much stimulus for your abs that you've probably never experienced before. They all grow so quickly. Okay, so now we've gone over a lot of the advantages and disadvantages of the two types of ab training. So as always in these videos, now I will give you my opinion. Just my opinion, so if you disagree, don't shout at me, please. Personally, I don't like bodyweight ab training. I think it encourages people to train abs the wrong way. It encourages people to do circuits with their ab training. It encourages them to rush through hundreds of reps rather than controlled, slow, quality movement. It encourages people to just mostly use their hip flexors because that's going to be the easiest way to get through the time of their training without actually giving a damn about how much tension they're putting on the six pack itself. They're just going through the motion. On the other hand, I love weighted ab training. It had such a huge effect on the visibility and the strength of my core that I just get everybody that I can to do it now because it had that much of a profound effect on me. It really encourages you to train your abs just like you would any other muscle on your body. And that's really important because they are just like any other muscle on your body, except they recover fast as hell, which is great. You can put so much more tension on your abs, which is going to build muscle when you're doing weighted ab movements, and you can stimulate and stress them in the optimal hypertrophy rep range of around 8 to 15 reps. You can also progress these movements way beyond anything you'd ever be able to achieve with just some body weight movements. So, clearly, my recommendation for you is weighted ab training. Ab movements that I love to add weight to include, but are not limited to, weighted decline reverse crunches, decline crunches, decline Russian twists, hanging leg raises, weighted knee tucks, rope cable crunches. The list goes on, and they are all excellent movements. If you develop and build your abs in this way, then you will be able to see your abs at a higher body fat percentage. Obviously, you won't be able to see them if you're 20, 25, 30% body fat, but you might be able to see them at 12% rather than 10%. And that's because they're physically more developed, and trust me, it does make a difference. And that is about it for today, guys. Like I said, in my opinion, weighted ab training is hands down the best way for you to be training your abs. Regardless of your goal, be it stability, posture, health, aesthetics, weighted ab training is always superior, hands down. Just make sure you're doing it correctly, please, because so many people mess up ab movements. If you don't know how to do it correctly, get someone to show you or teach you that does know how to do it correctly. If you have any questions on what we covered today, let me know in the comment section below and I'll get back to you right away. Thank you for watching this video. If you did enjoy it, give the video a thumbs up and also subscribe to my channel for more content every Wednesday and Friday. Thanks again, and until the next one, see you later, guys.